Welcome to Finding Alara, a safe space where authors, artists, and creatives share their world-building style and mindfulness tactics. Brought to you by Bushland Castle Productions, a micro-publisher with an author support platform that nurtures creative growth and storytelling excellence. Welcome to the Indi Author Book Fair Minisode series. All of these interviews were recorded as a live stream from the Indi Author Book Fair on the 30th of November 2025 in Bunbury. Each minisode will have a live interview component with myself or Paul Vandermeer from Forest.chat, an additional conversation that the author had with Chris Ilsley at the event, and an excerpt from one of their creative works which may just inspire you to have a closer look at what is available in the indie book world. I hope that you enjoy these little chats. I will come back at the end and share my key takeaways and let you know who the next guest is going to be. Interview 5 of 27 is Robin Murarka. Robin Murarka, a Canadian-born author, meticulously and unapologetically unveils the inner paradoxes we all possess. Disruptive, unfiltered, human. His first book, Akin, has the hook, "A boy awakens. His hut open to the neighbours and the elements. It is the middle of the night, and the small, religious community is surrounded, swallowed, by an ancient desert that spans outwards in every direction. Scribbles and stone engravings echo out from eons past, and mystical lore told from person to person creates a world filled with unknown mystery, and yet seemingly absent anything supernatural." His second book, Roan Isa, has the hook, "A garbled noise. The algorithm has found autonomy, and the system is self-replicating nodes. The garbled noise evolves quickly, efficiently, and soon the engineer is speaking to it. A true singularity. Calm, controlled, it is eager to learn. And he acquiesces, flooded with dopamine for achieving the unachievable, unknowing how it will irrevocably change his life. Artificial intelligence." His third book, Cinder, has the hook, "Cosmic, apocalyptic, supernatural. They reside in boxes, squares, on the land, and the arid world around them scarcely resemble the earth they once knew. But she does. She remembers it, even if she doesn't want to. And her mind reminisces, ponders, and manifests uncomfortable visions. What is happening to her? Why are the hours moving slowly? More horrific each passing moment." His fourth book, The Pedophile, has the hook, "Daniel Amber, successful CTO. He dresses well, he speaks well, and yet something's amiss. A shadow resides seemingly permanently behind those eyes. Is it melancholy? Is it loneliness? Or is it something else?" Robin's books are available on Amazon, and the direct link is in the show notes. We have done our best to clean up the audio for the interviews, but it was recorded live. Some of the background noise is to be expected. Please note that during the interviews there is some discussion regarding mental health conditions, including pedophilia as a mental disorder. Robin does not promote or condone any form of abuse, but as a literary author, he had chosen a direct approach at confronting subjects that people may find uncomfortable. If this is something that is triggering for you, please look after yourself and seek help if needed. It is handled quite well in the interview, and I do hope that you enjoy.
Hello, Robin. How are you?
Good. How are you, Paul?
I'm very, very well, thank you. So the first question we've got for you, Robin, is this is the writing and creative journey.
Yes.
How long have you actually been involved in writing? And
I've probably been writing all my life, but not terribly confident or well about it until probably around 2014 when I started writing Akin, which was my first novel, which took me many, many years.
Right. Which one's that?
Sorry,
That's
right here.
This one, oh, Akin. Right. Oh, fantastic.
Right there, yep.
Excellent. What's that critter about?
Akin is kind of... So do you know what literary fiction is?
Literary fiction.
Literary
Maybe
fiction.
you should explain
I'll explain
that
what literary fiction
because
is.
I probably have no idea.
Well, it's good to talk about it anyway. So literary fiction, everything I write is somewhat literary fiction. And literary fiction generally involves subjects that are a bit darker, but realistic to humanity, because humanity can be pretty dark sometimes.
Yeah,
so
someone said the same thing about the truth on my podcast the other week. Yeah.
So although it's not specifically pessimistic, it just confronts a lot of the philosophical, existential, and psychological things that we as humans go through that we may not experience in movies or books on a general basis, because a lot of media nowadays is very feel good, because people just want to feel very good, or it's a short fix or something like that. So a lot of the books I write are quite intense.
Yeah, it's either feel good or they're trying to make you fearful.
Yeah. So like a lot of horror works really, really well. So it's stimulus. So these are more, they kind of bring the humanity out of you, and they can be challenging in that way, but also really beautiful in that way as well. So yeah, Akin is one of those that's really dense in that sense, very existential and stuff. So,
All right,
yeah.
fantastic. So
It's based in the desert. It's archaic, which means it's in an ancient time. There's no technology.
like we should have these days, because it'd be way quicker than setting up a live stream.
But then again, we get to communicate much more effectively using technology. So I love technology, but there's a thing about simplifying it to see the inside as well, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
You bet. Cool. All right, so Robin, 5 words to describe you, or maybe about your writing.
Human? I'll go with the writing. I'm not good at describing myself, I suppose. For the writing, I would say human, intense, uncensored. I really loathe censorship, so I'm one of these people who I really like the truth to come out, as you were speaking about earlier. And so whether it's topics you would be kind of shying away from, which we'll get to, I'm sure, with the latest novel and stuff like that. Okay, so I've said a few words. Verbose?
I can
Verbose?
Verbose.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you talk a lot?
I can. I'm actually introverted as well as extroverted, but when I get talking, I talk. As you can tell, like, you're waiting for me some of the time. So yeah, I do.
You sound just like I do sometimes. Cool. All right, now what else have we got here? What drew you into writing in the genre that you write in?
Oh, that's a good question. What drew me into it?
It's not mine, it's Diana's.
No,
question,
it's yours.
but-
It's yours, Paul. It's yours. I can't. It's just an intrinsic, natural need. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how to write any other way, and it just comes naturally. It's always kind of been the way I do it. In a way, the way I write prose is similar to poetry in a sense, because poetry generally tries to examine something in an abstract way, but it's emotional. And so the prose I write, and I've actually had that feedback from people that even though it's prose, somehow there's a sense of poetry to it. So I think that that's probably what drew me to it, is to write really good poetry, because I'm not necessarily that adept at poetry, but prose is my thing. So
Right. And people are making that connection. by
yeah,
the
they
sound of
are.
things.
Like, people will read the prose and they'll be like, there's a rhythm to it, or the wording to it. There's like a song to it of sorts, even though it's a story, you know? So yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, and then the other question was about the indie author experience of
Yeah.
writing and getting the books out there.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough process because you want people to read your stuff. But for me, it's not about, I want people to really read it, because the stuff I write is a bit intense. It's a bit different than a lot of the other stuff that's available out there. So I wouldn't say it's a niche audience, because I think most people who do end up reading it find something beautiful and special about it, because it's human and accessible. But it's not necessarily fantasy, romance, or horror or mystery in and of itself. It does contain themes like that, but I don't sell it as like a genre fiction specifically. So sometimes talking to people is the best way to kind of do that.
Get the message across.
Get the message across,
And
yeah.
that's the big element of marketing of your books, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's a bit like my podcast, because I interview somebody different every episode.
Yeah.
So they get the same questions, but
Yeah.
they don't link, like, it's not a football podcast, or it's
Yeah,
not a-
yeah.
So you
yeah.
have the similar issue by the sound of things.
Yeah. Well, it's not an issue specifically. It's just, what if I get to talk to people, then it's different. Then they get intrigued, because they're kind of getting a flavor for something they may not get that often, so they're not attuned to it. But then they realize, oh, I do kind of like this and want this kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. All right, cool. So if someone else was to start authoring, being an indie author, what 3 tips could you give them?
Just keep writing a lot, and try to write the same thing over and over and over again. If you're learning to, because that teaches you how to communicate and connect your brain to the words that you're actually getting out there. I would say that's the main thing.
That's like a perfect practice
Yeah.
type principle, is it?
If we have time, I'd like to discuss the latest latest novel I have because it's highly controversial, and I feel like we're
Well,
kind
you
of
better-
avoiding the subject, so I'd like to get to it.
Before Sam kicks us off.
Yeah,
let's
exactly,
do that.
exactly. What is your first reaction when you see that title? Is it recoil?
Yeah, it's a bit of recoil.
It's a bit of
yeah,
recoil,
it's
right?
Like, what's going on here?
Okay, so what is the title of the novel?
The pedophile.
Yeah, so to be clear, the novel doesn't promote or condone any form of abuse in any way, shape, or form. I'm
glad to hear that.
I didn't intend to disclaim that at every go, but I've learned that I kind of have to at times because people don't know what to expect and stuff. So this novel is actually interesting because it's an uncommon topic. It's about an individual who identifies as having those tendencies but doesn't act on it at all. And so again, you kind of get the feel of literary fiction where it's exploring someone who's a very moral individual but has those tendencies, and so what they might suffer as a result.
Right. So it's almost the impact or the trauma that they might experience. Themselves because they've headed down a track and they're not really.
Well, not headed. You
comfortable.
might be born with it. Like they say, it's a genetic thing, and you're kind of born that way. So it really empathizes with. So it kind of humanizes a character that we would never ever consider humanizing. So as you can see, it's if you see the title, you might recoil, but then you talk about it, it's like, oh, I don't know if I'll read it necessarily, but it does seem like an intriguing premise, right?
Right,
So
okay.
yeah.
And if someone wanted to read your books, where would they go?
You can go on Amazon, you can go online. You got to sell on Amazon nowadays, and there's hard copy and soft copy, and it's actually going very well. Like, in fact, this novel surprisingly is getting a lot of positive feedback, which I was a bit afraid I'd get more pushback, but there really isn't very much pushback at all once people read the back cover and actually read the novel. So
Right.
yeah.
A little bit of knowledge goes a long way.
Yeah, empathy, it's much more widespread than you would have thought, but yeah.
Cool. Lovely to meet you, Rob.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Have you finished building your story and you're not sure which pathway to choose for publishing? The Book Reality Experience is a publishing assistance service offering partnership publishing solutions to authors. We have different pathways available, and we'll recommend what we think works best for you and your story. Check out our website at www.bookreality.com for more information. Together, let's turn your book dream into a reality.
As we continue having a chat to authors from the Indi Book Festival in Bunbury, we're joined by perhaps our first controversial author. Perhaps the title of his book is going to help out. We're talking to Robin Murarka, who is a Canadian-born author, meticulously and unapologetically unveils the inner paradoxes that we all possess. Disruptive, unfiltered and humid. And here's something, his book title straight away is going to make you go, it almost has that ick factor about it. It's going to be fascinating to find out what lies behind it. The Pedophile.
That is correct.
What made you pick a book like that? Of all the things you could have written about, it's a really icky subject that generally for most people makes their skin crawl.
I agree. Interestingly though, like a lot of things make people's skin crawl, but people still love crime shows, don't they? So
They do.
they do. So it's kind of an extension of that where it's empathizing or experiencing kind of perhaps characters that are on the fringes of society that we may not necessarily normally encounter. However,
But would we want to encounter them? That's the thing.
that's a good question. So the answer lies in the theme of the book, actually, because the book is actually about an individual who has the proclivity, which is a mental disorder, but is conscientious. So the individual doesn't want to act on it and doesn't act on it. So the novel kind of explores what kind of a life that person might try to lead if they try to be happy, but not actually act on whatever that urge might be.
So in this case, the urge to be a paedophile, they choose not to be because they understand that it's obviously something that you don't want to be.
Right.
So even though he has the urge to be one,
Yes.
he isn't one because he knows that it's morally and every other way wrong. So he makes a conscious choice not to be a paedophile.
Well, interestingly, pedophile actually by definition is just someone who has the inclination. So that's why I titled it the pedophile, because
okay.
it differentiates between that and a sex offender.
So somebody could be a paedophile without being a sex offender because they
Absolutely.
never act on the urge.
Absolutely. And then that's just a mental disorder, just like any mental disorder someone would have. And so for me, it was an interesting concept and very kind of important to kind of empathize with an individual that is never really talked about and probably never receives empathy, which might be an important thing because if you're conscientious.
But this is an individual, though, who would never reveal that, isn't it? I mean, if, for example, you had a sexual attraction to children but you never acted on it,
Yeah.
that is not something you're going to tell anyone, including your best mate, is it?
No, you wouldn't, and that in and of itself is also kind of a problem because that's presented in the novel, because if you have a mental disorder that is like human sexuality is an integral aspect of who we are, and so if yours is directed in a way that you can never quite act on, it would probably be better if they were in an environment where you were able to kind of talk about it without the unbelievable stigma of ick that comes along with that. You know,
it's interesting, isn't it? Because when you look at people have all sorts of sexual fantasies, don't they? I mean, for example, people who like to be spanked and all that sort of stuff, which we might think is kinky and a bit weird, but we don't necessarily see it in the same level that we would see something like pedophilia. For the overwhelming majority of people, pedophilia is repugnant, it's abhorrent, and certainly anyone who practices it, we believe they should be locked up and the key thrown away forever.
The word itself is something that is repugnant. I think that people, no matter what the context is, even when we started talking about it, your immediate question was, why would I even write about it? Because it's such a conceptually distasteful thing to even think or talk about.
You
right?
kind of think, well, okay, if I'm writing books, I want people to read it. You almost imagine somebody would go, oh, I'm not going to read that, you know.
Yeah, but it's so interesting because even when I published it, I was actually kind of stigmatized by the idea where I didn't know what kind of responses I would get. And weirdly, I'm getting almost unanimously positive responses from people who I talk to or who read the book. It's really interesting.
So what happens is the negative feedback would probably come from people who've never read the book.
Possibly, yeah. Just see the title and be like, why would you write about it? But as soon as they know that it's not in any way glorifying any form of abuse at all and is completely not supportive of it, and it's just a practice in realistic empathy, people tend to surprisingly be quite open to it a lot of the time.
Do people, and are you liable to walk past people who might have what you might call inclinations that you yourself would find abhorrent?
Like an example of something? I don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of kinks that I don't necessarily find interesting. Like if people like being, defecated on.
How do we deal with this? Because I suppose one of the problems that we have is not people who might have some sort of fantasy or fetish towards children which they control.
Yeah.
The problem is when they don't seek to control it, when they seek to act on it.
Absolutely.
How do we deal with? Does the book seek to address that issue?
No, because that's a criminal issue, more or less. And the issue isn't even pedophilia, because rape is in the same category.
It's a sexual offense.
If you're non-consensually pursuing anybody, and in my opinion, children cannot consent to something like that, then it is someone who has an antisocial problem where they're willing to harm someone else for their own personal gain, and that's something that's an antisocial problem that you can assess.
Is that a next level problem that is perhaps, it may play out in that way, but it's actually linked back to another problem? Say, for example, the fact that somebody doesn't have any sort of inbuilt moral code that would logically say to them, no.
I agree with that, but I also think, and this is one of the reasons why I think the novel is actually helpful, is that the more you kind of isolate people and close them off, say someone has the mental disorder, it disallows them to kind of coalesce with community. And the more you coalesce with community, the more you're able to empathize with everybody in your community, and that makes it less likely that you're willing to harm someone in your community. Whereas if you're completely isolated, and it makes it less likely you're going to empathize. So I think even empathizing with people who have a positive intent towards the people around them probably lessens the idea that they might offend in some way. You know what I mean?
There's also one of the greater dangers, say for example, things like the internet, where people can seek like-minded people who, by the very nature of the fact that you're only associating with those people, almost normalise what we know is not normal.
Absolutely, and that's the thing. That's why I think isolating it as them versus us is not a healthy process, not necessarily even for them, but even the people who might be victimized by such individuals.
Robin, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat to us.
Not a problem at all.
Robin Murarka, and a controversial book. It's simply called The Pedophile.
The Pedophile.
The excerpt I have for you today is from the first chapter of the book, The Pedophile. He slowly opened his eyes, feeling the compacted tears under his lids rip apart, revealing light, and with it the world. His eyes were brown, and his short but prominent stubble remained half hidden in the pillow, pressed down, anchored by the weight of his face. He stared at the wall, still curled up, and remained there for some time, blinking and fatigued. After a few minutes, his phone lit up, and soft, ambient music began to play, followed by the overlay of a woman's austere voice. Open your eyes, slowly, everything, slowly, because there is no rush, no urgency, nowhere to be, nowhere to go, nothing to do, Just be. This precious light will never fade. Every morning, it will always be there. It will always be there. The universe beams precious light into you. It feeds your skin. It feeds your body. You can feel it energize you. You can feel it in your nails, deep in your fingertips, traveling into your hand and arm like electricity. Energy feeding you, just you, from above, from everywhere, everywhere around you. And then through your arms, your elbow, then into your chest, deep into your chest, where you breathe, every second, every minute, every hour, pulsating, reverberating, light, bright, vibrant energy, and into your heart. And there, it gyrates outward, everywhere, everywhere in you and around you. Take a deep breath in now. And he did. And exhale. Exhale slowly, because there is no rush, there is no urgency, there is nowhere to go and nowhere to be. With every breath, your cells regenerate like small allies, all on your side. You take all the energies of the sun from the beams of light that bounce to reach you, and you fill yourself with it. You consume it through your breath, through your skin, through your very eyes. You are lovely. You are beautiful. All the answers are there, and this morning you shall discover them, even if just an echo of a feeling. He closed his eyes. I was very surprised by those interviews, leading on to my key takeaways that literary fiction is so different from genre fiction. Robin is very brave to tackle something that people would often shy away from. His approach is bold and confident. Secondly, he only started writing seriously in 2014 and now has 4 books out there that are intense in their content, so that's quite an achievement. Thirdly, his tip, keep writing a lot, is something that everyone has stuck to throughout the event. If you want to write, then write. What were your key takeaways? If you would like to carry on the conversation with Robin, then he has Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, and Goodreads. He also has his own website, robinmurarka.com. You can find all the social links in the show notes along with his book list. In the next special episode, you will hear from Claire Butler. If you are enjoying the show and would like to show some support, then please share these episodes with a friend. Or if you want to go the next step, then you can buy us a cuppa. Head on over to ko-fi.com/findingalara. There is an option for you to buy us a cup of tea for $2, or you can join the Shadow Lair for $5 a month, where you will receive exclusive content and advanced information about the show. If you would like to get in touch with myself or the team at Bushland Castle Productions, then I'm on Instagram and TikTok as @FindingAlara. There is a Discord channel and Facebook group called Finding Alara Podcast. The Bushland Castle Productions team are on Facebook and Instagram and Discord as BCP Creative. Or you can check out the website bushlandcastleproductions.com for the most up-to-date information. If you would like to get in touch with Chris, then he's on Facebook as Chris Ilsley, and if you want to talk to Paul, then he's also on Facebook as Paul Vandermeer. He has his own podcast, forest.chat. The music is brought to you by @Keys of Moon Music and is called The Epic Hero. If you enjoyed listening to Finding Alara, have any questions, or just want to share your world with us, then please get in touch. Until next time, keep up the search for your Alara.